Hi, today we'll be discussing some simple graph operations. So we will be extending our familiar operations like union, intersection, difference, ring sum, etc. from set theory to graphs. Okay, so the first operations which we'll be studying are called union and intersection. As the name suggests, very simple. The union of two graphs G1 comma G2 is denoted by the symbol just like in set theory G1 union G2 like this. So it consists of all the vertices or edges which are lying either in G1 or G2 or both. Okay, so basically the vertex set of G1 and G2 will be actually V1 union V2, where V1 is the vertex set of G1 and V2 is the vertex set of V2, and correspondingly the edge set would be simply E1 union E2, where E1 is the edge set of G1 and E2 is the edge set of E2. Okay, and also remember one thing here: the endpoints of the edges should be the same as in there. If the edge is lying in G1, the endpoints of that edge should be the same as in G1, or similarly if it is lying in G2, the endpoints of that edge should be same as in G2. So the adjacency is preserved here. So the G1 union G2 consists of all the edges and vertices which are present in both the graphs. But similarly, the similar concept is G1 intersection G2. So as you can know, it consists of all the vertices and edges which are lying in both G1 and G2. So it should lie in both G1 and G2, and also you have to remember that the end vertices should be the same also. So that is the concept of G1 and G2. You can see that some diagram examples have been drawn here. Suppose here are two graphs are given G1 and G2. Okay, so please see the diagram. So here is G1, here is G2. We have obtained G1 union G2 here. So you can see here that here there is a multiple edge coming, because in the first graph there was an edge B between, there was an edge B lying between this V1 and V3, and the second graph there was another edge G lying between this V1 and V3. So when you draw the union, you have to include both the edges. So you have got two edges between V1 and V3. So that's why multiple edges are coming here. Okay, and also when you are taking the intersection will not be like this, because this edge is different for V1 and V2. This edge is B for V1 and this edge is G for V2. So we don't draw this as a another edge, because it is not correct. Okay, so because that edge is different then. Okay, so please look at the diagram, convince yourself of what do we mean by union and intersection. Union means it contains all the vertices and edges. Intersection means it contains only the common vertices and edges. Okay, so I hope it is clear, the operation of union and intersection. Okay, moving forward, we will see what's a ring sum. Okay, so ring sum is basically similar to a symmetric difference in sets. Okay, in our sets theory, we may have studied the concept of symmetric difference. So it's the same concept here. So basically, the ring sum is denoted by the symbol G1 plus G2. Okay, with a plus with a O notation. So G1 G2, and it's basically consists of the vertex set will be actually V1 union V2, and the edge set is basically those edges which are either in G1 or in G2 but not in both. Okay, so this is the concept of symmetric difference coming here. Okay, so either in that set, either in the or that set, but not that set. So that's the concept here. So basically the symmetric difference of edges are being taken here. So the edges lie either in G1 or G2 but not both. So that's the only difference here. So basically the vertex set are same, but all the difference, main crux is the edge set is different. So the edge set consists of either those edges which are lying in G1 or in G2 but not in both. Okay, so let us look at this diagram. Okay, so here G1 and G2 is given to you. Let us look at this diagram. Okay, so how is this diagram formed? So if you look at this edge D here, if you look at this edge D here, so D was lying only in G1, so D came there. Okay, now if you look at this edge C, C is lying in both G1 and G2, so was not, that is why C is not coming in the ring sum. Okay, similarly A is lying in both G1 and G2, that is why A did not come in the ring sum. Okay, and this edge B is lying only in G1, that is why B has come here, and this edge G is lying only in G2, therefore this edge also has come here. So that is how you have obtained idea of ring sum. So try to draw some examples, because they can ask you the definition of ring sum, and I can also ask you to illustrate the example. So try to draw that. So basically union consists of all the edges and vertices, but ring sum consists of only those edges which are either in the first graph or the second graph but not both. That's the difference between union and ring sum. Okay, and also we can obtain some important results if G1 and G2 are edge there are no edges in common between G1 and G2. So when you take G1 intersection G2, that means there will be no edges in that graph, only vertices would be there. So that's what's called a null graph. Okay, so if G1 and G2 are edge disjoint, G1 intersection G2 will be a null graph. Okay, you can convince yourself of that. And similarly, your G1 ring sum G2 will be actually G1 union G2 itself, because there are no edges which are present in both G1 and G2. So when you take G1 ring sum G2, it will be same as G1 union G2, because the vertex sets would be the same, and also edge set will contain all the edges of G1 and G2, because none of the edges are lying in both the graphs. So therefore, in that such a case, G1 ring sum G2 will be equal to simply G1 union G2, because no edges are lying in both the graphs. Okay, and similarly, if you look at G1 and G2 are vertices disjoint, if there are no vertices in common, definitely no edges can come in common. So G1 intersection G2 would be empty. So that is a simple results concerning edges, unions and intersections. And more results are also there for any graph. G union G, of course it will be equal to G, and G intersection G will also be equal to G. Okay, and G ring sum G, what will be a G ring sum G? Basically, if you take a G ring sum G, you will be getting the vertex set would be the same, but the edge set would be empty, because all the edges are obviously, both these graph are just the same. So that means the edges are lying in both G and G itself. Therefore, you won't get any edges which are not in both of them. So basically, there will be no edges present in G ring sum G, because both of the graphs are just the same. That means the edges are lying in both the graphs. So it cannot come in the ring sum. So there will be no edges. So you will be just left with vertices. That is why it is called a null graph. Very simple characterizations. So if you understand the definition of null graph, you will definition of ring sum, you will understand this. Okay, and similarly, if G is a subgraph of G. Okay, so if you have okay, so suppose you have graph G. So this is your graph G. Okay, and suppose this is your subgraph. Okay, so if suppose this is your graph G and this is your subgraph G. So what happens if you take G ring sum G? The vertex set would be the same here. Okay, but we have to draw those edges which are not there in G and G together, capital G and small g together. So basically, this edge should be there, because this edge is lying only in capital G. This edge should be there, this edge should be there, this edge should be there, but these edges will not be there, because it is lying in both G and G. So you can see that G ring sum G, if you take, it is actually obtained by deleting the edges of G from edges of the subgraph G from the capital G. So G ring sum G in the case of subgraph is actually obtained by deleting that subgraph from the original graph. If you see that subgraph has been deleted from the original graph. Okay, so this is also called by another name. It is called the complement of that subgraph. So complement of that subgraph G in G. Okay, so this is called the complement of that subgraph G in G. Don't confuse it with the graph complement. The graph complement was actually taking the complement of the graph complement of a simple graph is actually drawn by taking the difference of the graph from the complete graph. So that is not what is being discussed here. Here we are discussing about the complement of a subgraph in the original graph. So basically, it consists of all those edges which are not there in the subgraph. So we are just deleting those edges of the subgraph from the graph. So this is G ring sum G. In the case of a subgraph, would be simply G minus G, which is basically removing those edges of the subgraph from the original graph. Okay, so that's another interesting result. So that is also there. Try to convince yourself of this result. Okay, so and moving forward, let us discuss an important concept of decomposition of a graph. So a graph is said to be decomposed. You can actually, so before I proceed further, actually you can extend this concept of union, intersection and ring sum to any number of graphs. Okay, so we have only taken 2 graphs here. So there is also, you can also take union of n number of graphs. You can also take union of G2 G2, G3, etc. union G. So you can take union of n number of graphs, and similarly intersection of n number of graphs and ring sum of the n number of graphs. Only you have to extend the definition. So it is not necessary that you only consider 2 graphs. You can also extend it to any number of graphs. Okay, and moving forward, when you come to decomposition, okay, a graph is said to be decomposed into 2 subgraphs if, which is very obvious, if G1 union G2 is the whole set and G1 intersection G2 is actually null graph. So basically there are no edges in common, that's it. Okay, so a graph is said to be decomposed if we can actually divide it into 2 subgraphs, so whose union gives the whole set, but actually there are no edges in common. Okay, just like the disjoint union. So say it's the common same idea of a disjoint union. So basically, if when you take the union of those two subgraphs, you should get the full graph, but the intersection of those two subgraphs should not contain any common edge. Okay, for example, a simple example is drawn here. Here is your graph G. Okay, so I can actually decompose it into, suppose these are your subgraphs G1 and G2. So if you take G1 union G2, you will get the whole graph G, and if you take G1 intersection G2, there will be no edges. It will be just left with the four vertices. That is why it is called the null graph. So I hope it is clear what do you mean by decomposition of a subgraph, decomposition of a graph. So actually this decomposition actually can extend to any number of subgraphs. So maybe you can take you can decompose a graph into three subgraphs. Okay, so in that case, when you take the union of those three subgraphs, you should get the full graph, and there will be no edges in common between any of these subgraphs. Okay, so every edge either occurs in either in G1 or in G2 or not both in. Okay, so this is the idea of a decomposition of a graph. Okay, and other simple, some more some interesting concepts related to operations of graph are actually deletion. Okay, so you can delete a vertex from a graph, you can delete more than one vertex, you can delete a subgraph, you can delete an edge. So these concepts will be coming now. So now let us discuss deletion of a vertex. So let us consider deletion of a vertex. Okay, suppose I want to delete this vertex V1. Okay, so if I delete, what will happen? So all the edges which are incident out of that vertex will also be deleted from that graph. Okay, so deletion of a vertex is basically the subgraph obtained by deleting that vertex and also all the edges which are incident on that vertex from that graph, because when that vertex is gone, the edges also will be gone because they have no end vertex then. So when you are deleting a vertex, all the edges in that vertex will also be deleted from the graph. So basically, deletion of vertex is obtained. Deletion of vertex actually gives rise to a subgraph which does not contain that particular vertex and also all those edges which are incident on that vertex. So that's its basic idea. Here you can see the deletion of a edge V1 in this example here. Okay, so this edge V1 was deleted here from here. So what happened? So this edge was deleted. So basically this vertex was deleted. So this edge should go, this edge should go, this edge should go, this edge should go, this edge would go, this edge would go. So basically we will be getting only with these three things. Okay, okay. So I have made a mistake here. This edge will not go because it's not incidental. So basically we will be left with only this graph here. Okay, is it clear? And similar to concept of deletion of a vertex is deletion of an edge. So when you delete an edge, the vertices won't go because there could be other edges also which could be incident on the vertices. So when you delete an edge, basically the vertices would be lying there, only the edge would go. Okay, so if you delete the edge E1, what will happen? You will be left with this vertex in which just this edge has been removed. But when you delete a vertex, the incident edges also will be removed. Okay, so when you delete an edge, nothing will happen to the vertices. So, but when you delete a vertex, the vertex together with those edges which are incident on the vertex also would be deleted. Okay, so that is the idea of deletion. Okay, and so we can also say that if you have understood the concept of ring sum, G minus Ej is simply G ring sum Ej. Okay, why? Because the vertex set would be the same, and also the edge here it will be here you will be removing, in the ring sum you will be removing those edges which are both lying in either G or Ej. So only Ej is lying in both G and Ej, therefore it is same as taking ring sum of G and Ej. So it's a very basic idea. Okay, so I hope what you mean by deletion, I hope you understand what you mean by deletion vertex. So we can delete more vertices if you want. If you have vertex V2, you can also delete G minus V1 comma V2. So in that case, those edges which are incident on V1 and V2, those will also be deleted. So that is the idea. You can extend this concept also of deleting vertices, deleting edges and all. Okay, and opposite to deletion is another concept called fusion. Okay, so you can actually fuse two vertices. So basically what you are doing is that you are replacing the two vertices by a single vertex, and all those edges which are in between those vertices would now be incident on this single vertex. Okay, for example, if you look at this graph, I am going to fuse the vertex with vertices A and B. Okay, so I will be getting a new vertex. Suppose I am calling it as simply AB. Okay, so this AE will now, this edge between E and A will now be incident between E and B. So basically this edge between E and A is now this. Okay, Similarly, this edge between F and B will now be incident between F and AB. Okay, this edge between D and B6 is now between D and AB. Again, this edge C, as a 4 between C and A will now be lying here, and similarly this edge between C and B would be lying here. Okay, and also remember there was an edge between A and B, so you can't remove that edge. So that edge was now actually the endpoints have become the same. That means that edge has now become a loop. Okay, so if you look at this, the fusion of two vertices does not alter the number of edges, but it just reduces the number of vertices by one. Okay, so that is the idea of fusing two vertices. So please take a graph, try to fuse two vertices. A very simple idea. Okay, so fusing the vertices does not alter the number of edges, but only reduces the number of vertices by one. Okay, so I hope it is clear. The operations on a graph, the union, intersection, okay, ring sum, decomposition, deletion and fusion. Okay. Now coming back to Euler graphs, we will just derive a result regarding these operations. So let us read the result now. A connected graph is an Euler graph if and only if it can be decomposed into circuits. Okay. A connected graph is an Euler. Just read the theorem. A connected graph is an Euler graph if and only if it can be decomposed into Euler circuits. Okay. So it's a very simple result. So I hope you know what is an Euler graph. Okay, Euler graph is a graph which contains an Euler line, that means a block which contains all the edges of the given graph. Okay, and circuit also, I hope you know what's a circuit. It's basically a closed path when there is no repetition of edges. Okay, so you also know that the degree of every vertex in a circuit is 2. So these are the concepts of circuits which we have discussed in earlier classes. Okay, so let's try to prove this result. So we have basically a connected graph is there. So suppose it can be, so since this is an if and only if condition, we have to prove it in two ways. Suppose you have to assume that the graph is Eulerian, then you have to prove that it can be decomposed into circuits, and conversely you have to assume that it can be decomposed into circuits, you have to prove that it is Eulerian. Okay, it's very simple. Suppose I'll assume that suppose this graph could be decomposed into circuits. Okay, so basically what does that mean? It means that this entire graph, since this is decomposed, entire graph is a edge disjoint union of circuits. So basically entire graph is a edge disjoint union of circuits. Why edge disjoint? Because basically this graph has been decomposed into some circuits. In decompositions there are no edges in common. So when you take the union you will get the full graph. So it is called an edge disjoint union of circuits. Okay. Now the degree of every vertex in a circuit is 2. Okay, so when you take the edge disjoints, all the vertices are part of a circuit here, and this graph consists of only circuits. What does it mean? Since all the vertices are part of in one circuit here, and since this graph only consists of circuits, because it is said that this graph is a edge disjoint union of circuits. Okay, so there are no edges which are not part of a circuit. So basically all the edges are part of a circuit and all the vertices are all part of a circuit. So that means the degree of every vertex should be even. Okay, so one vertex, suppose a vertex is lying here, it can be part of one circuit here, it can be part of another circuit here also. So this, when it is part of this circuit, its degree is 2, when it is part of another circuit, its degree is 2. So in totality the degree of that vertex should be even. So since every vertex is part of a circuit and all edges are part of a circuit, what will happen? The degree of every vertex is even, and since in a connected graph if the degree of every vertex is even, you know that it is Eulerian from the previous result. Hence we can say that if a connected graph could be decomposed into circuits, then it is an Euler graph because the degree of every vertex is even. It's a very simple idea. Okay, now the reverse also. Suppose it is an Euler graph, we have to show that it can be decomposed into circuits. Okay, so I'll illustrate the idea here. Suppose this is a connected Euler graph here. You have to, this just for your understanding I'm telling you. Suppose this is an Euler graph. So I'll start, so I'm going to draw an Euler line here. So I'll start with some vertex here. I'll start here from A. I'll move to D. I'll move to E. I'll come back at A maybe. Then I'll move to C. So we have seen that here when we have wrote the Euler line, there will be a vertex which will be repeated while writing the Euler line. So take that portion of the Euler line where the vertex is repeated. So I'll take this portion, that is A, D, E, A. Okay, and similarly I am again going to write it here. Here I am going A, C, E, okay, so it is going here, A, C, E, again F, again F, C, okay, then you are going to B, okay, A, okay, F, C, B, A, okay. Now if you, this is the oil line here, so if you look at this graph ADEA, so the first here A is being repeated 2 times. Now if you look at this portion, this is a circuit, so remove that from that Euler line now. Okay, now look at the next repetition. So if you look here, CE ADEA is being repeated. Again, if you look at the next portion, what is it? CEFC. So CEFC, this portion is also being repeated. So this is another circuit, remove that portion. Again, if you look at the next portion, it is actually this portion. So basically this is actually A, okay, A, B, A, okay, A, C, B, okay. So, so let me look at this. So this is how you write the graph here. So when you remove this repeated portion from the graph, that is ADEA, and replace it with the repeated vertex, we will be left with a circuit here. So this ADEA portion is a circuit. So remove that circuit from the graph, and only now you are left with A. You are remaining with A. So now the graph has been reduced to ACEFCBA. Okay, now look at the repeated portion of some vertex here. So here you can see that C is being repeated here. Look here, CEFC. So that is again a circuit. Remove that circuit. So when you remove that CEFC, you are left with again C only. Okay, so this C has, you are starting and ending the circuit with C. So you are left with C. So you have started with CEFC. You have started with CEFC and you have come back at C. So remaining is just A, C, B, A. So now look at this, A is being again repeated, A, C, B, A. Again this is basically a circuit. Okay, so I hope you understand how to decompose an Euler line into circuits. What you are doing is that you are taking the first instance of a repeated vertex. So what you do is that you remove that repeated vertex, that portion containing the portion between those two repeated vertices, and replace that portion by that repeated vertex. For example, in this Euler line, you can see that ADEA is being, A and A are repeated. So you replace that repeated portion of A and A, that is ADEA, by that repeated vertex. So I will replace this ADEA portion by just A. Okay, so I will again write the Euler line here. Again I will write the resultant work here. So I will be getting ACEFCBA. Now you can see that again C is being repeated here. So you remove the repeated portion of containing C with just C. So it is CEFC has been removed and you are just replacing it with C. Okay, and similarly taking forward the idea, you have ACBA. Again ACBA is being, A is being repeated. So remove that portion with just A. So you have got 3 circuits, and none of these circuits contain no edges in common because we are progressively deleting those edges. Okay, so that means if you have an Euler line, you can actually decompose that graph into circuits, disjoint circuits. So that is the idea here. So what you do is just now let us go through the proof. So if you are taking a vertex V1, okay, so if you are starting with the vertex V1, it will moving to V2. Suppose it is going to V2, since this is of even degree. Okay, since this is an Euler graph, every vertex will have even degree. So that means if you reach V2, it can come out of V2. So suppose it is reaching V3, okay, and suppose it is reaching again V4, and again it is coming back to V2. Suppose it is coming back to V2. What you do is that you delete this portion V2, V3, V4 from the graph, from the Euler line, and replace it with V2. So when you draw the Euler line, it will go from V1, V2, V3, V4. It will come back again at V2, and it may go to some V5. So when you write the Euler line, you delete this portion now V2, V3, V4, V2, and replace it by V2. So you will now be left with V1, V2, again V5. Again somewhere again it will again intersect again. So it may reach some point V6, okay, and it may come back, it can come back at V2. Again you delete that portion, replace it by V2, and ultimately this should end. Since this is an Euler line, it will end at V1. So you can see that this Euler line, so when if you take back all the deleted circuits, this entire Euler line is made up of these circuits which are disjoint because none of the edges in the Euler line repeats itself. So these edges are disjoint. So you can see that this entire Euler line is consisting of edge disjoint circuits, or that means this Euler graph could now be decomposed into circuits. Okay, so try to understand this result and then read this theorem, convince yourself by means of an example, and try to write it in your own words. We will discuss it more in the next class. Okay, so that's it. Okay, thank you.